I'm really glad you're here today because what we're about to do is much more than just listening practice. It's a full, real-life English experience built around natural conversations, everyday expressions, and the type of language native speakers use without even thinking about it. Before we dive in, take a moment to relax, breathe, and get ready to listen with intention. This video is designed to help you sound more natural, confident, and fluent, not by memorizing long lists of vocabulary, but by absorbing the rhythm, tone, and expressions that real people use in daily life. Let's begin with something familiar: mornings. Everyone has a morning routine, and English speakers often use simple, friendly sentences that help them ease into the day. When you wake up, you might say, "I need a moment to get myself together," or "Let me see what I have lined up today." These are calm, natural phrases that make your speech sound relaxed and fluent. As you head out the door, you might hear someone say, "I'll catch you later," or "I should be home around 6." These short expressions tell people what to expect without sounding too formal. Native speakers use them constantly because they're quick and clear. Let's imagine you walk outside and bump into a neighbor. A warm, friendly way to start a conversation is, "Morning, how's everything going so far?" Or "Looks like a great day, doesn't it?" These small observations sound simple, but they make your English feel open and welcoming. Adding tiny details creates connection, something every fluent speaker aims for. Now, let's shift to work life, one of the most important areas for English learners. When you arrive at the office, people often greet each other with phrases like, "Good morning, hope you're doing well," or "Let's take a look at what we need to get done today." These expressions are polite, professional, and easy to remember. When you need help, asking politely always makes a good impression. Try saying, "Could you walk me through this part?" or "Would you mind clarifying this for me?" These questions show respect and help you sound more confident in professional settings. During a break or lunchtime, conversations are usually much more relaxed. People might say, "I'm thinking of grabbing something quick. Any suggestions?" or "I've been craving something different today." These casual expressions help you sound approachable and natural, even with coworkers you don't know well. As you continue listening and repeating, remember, fluency isn't about perfection. It's about sounding comfortable. It's about expressing yourself clearly and being able to move from one situation to another smoothly. Now picture this moment in your day: you're checking your messages or sending a quick email. Native speakers often use soft, gentle phrases to keep communication polite. For example, "Just checking in to see if you had a chance to look at this," or "Please let me know whenever you have an update." These phrases keep your tone friendly while still being professional. And outside work, when you're texting friends, your language becomes more relaxed. You might say, "Let's catch up later," or "I'll text you when I'm done with this." These short, easy expressions help you sound natural in any casual conversation. As evening approaches, many people transition into a slower rhythm. After a long day, it's common to say, "I'm finally home," or "I need a bit of time to unwind." These sentences let you express your feelings clearly and naturally, something advanced learners should always practice. When you greet family members or roommates, you might ask, "How was your day?" or "Anything interesting happened today?" These simple questions show that you care and help build warm, natural interactions. During dinner time, everyday English gets even more comfortable. You might say, "I'm thinking of making something quick tonight," or "Do you want me to help with anything?" These expressions reflect cooperation, kindness, and natural fluency. If someone offers help, your responses should be polite and complete. Try saying, "That would be really helpful, thank you," or "I appreciate it, but I've got it covered." These sentences are short and respectful, perfect for sounding natural at home. As you keep listening in this video, pay attention to the way these sentences flow. Notice how they are simple, but expressive. This is exactly how native speakers talk in real life: clear, warm, and effortless. In the next section, we'll expand into conversations that happen throughout the day, including shopping, transportation, invitations, and real social interactions. The goal is to help you internalize the rhythm of natural English so you can use it confidently whenever you speak. Let's continue building your natural English through real, everyday situations that you're likely to experience no matter where you live. In this section, we're going to move into afternoon routines, errands, social interactions, and the type of practical conversations native speakers have without thinking. As you listen, try to imagine yourself in each situation, picture the scene, feel the rhythm, and repeat the sentences softly to yourself. This is how fluency becomes effortless. After lunch or during the early afternoon, a lot of people check emails, answer messages, or follow up on tasks. In professional settings, clarity and politeness are important. Native speakers often use sentences like, "I just wanted to follow up on our earlier conversation," or "whenever you have a moment. Could you take a look at this?" These are gentle, respectful ways to keep things moving without sounding demanding. When communicating with colleagues, especially in a multicultural environment, soft phrases help maintain positive relationships. You might say, "just to make sure we're on the same page," or "let me know if there's anything I can do to help." These expressions show teamwork and understanding qualities people admire in fluent English speakers. Now imagine you step outside for a short break or need to run a quick errand. Before leaving, someone might ask, "Are you heading out?" A natural response could be, "Yeah, I'm going to pick up a few things, or I'll be back in a little bit." These sentences are simple but used constantly in daily conversations. If you stop by a store, you'll need polite, clear language. When asking for assistance, you can say, "Excuse me, could you point me in the right direction, or do you happen to know where this item is?" These are friendly and respectful. If you need advice while shopping, try, "Which one do you recommend, or do you think this would be a good option?" These expressions help you sound natural and confident. If something isn't available, native speakers often use softening phrases. For example, "Do you know if this will be restocked soon, or is there another size available?" Avoiding abrupt questions helps your English feel more polished. Once you finish your errands and return to your workplace or home, short updates make communication smoother. You might say, "I'm back," or "That took longer than I expected." These phrases are realistic and widely used. Now let's move into casual social moments, the kind of interactions that help you feel more connected to people. Imagine you meet a friend at a cafe. A friendly greeting might be, "Hey, it's good to see you," or "I've been meaning to catch up with you." These expressions feel honest and warm. When ordering, people often say, "Could I get a latte, please, or I'll have the same as last time." These show comfort and confidence in everyday situations. During conversations, small talk plays an important role. You might ask, "How's everything going lately?" Or, "Have you been up to anything interesting?" These questions show interest and encourage natural conversation. If you want to share something about your day, you could say, "It's been a pretty busy morning," or "I'm trying to take things one step at a time today." These expressions help you describe your feelings without sounding too formal. When your friend shares something exciting, you can respond with, "That sounds great," or "I'm really happy for you." If they're going through something difficult, try, "I'm sorry to hear that," or "Let me know if there's anything I can do." These responses are compassionate and natural, and they help you build stronger relationships in English. Now let's talk about transportation scenarios, something everyone deals with. If you need information, you can say, "Do you know when the next bus is coming, or is this the right train for downtown?" These are direct and polite if you're running late. A common phrase is, "I'm stuck in traffic," or "I'll be there as soon as I can." These sentences reflect real daily life. When giving directions, people often say, "Go straight for a couple of blocks," or "Take a left at the next intersection." These are practical and used constantly in English-speaking countries. If you're traveling with someone, coordinating plans becomes important. You might say, "Let me check the schedule," or "We should leave a bit earlier just to be safe." These statements show planning and awareness, key parts of natural English communication. Let's move into invitations, a common part of social life. If you want to invite someone politely, you can say, "Would you like to join me for dinner this weekend?" Or "I was thinking of going for a walk later. Want to come along?" These feel friendly and relaxed. If someone invites you, natural replies include, "I'd love to," or "I really appreciate the offer, but I already have plans." These sentences help you express yourself clearly without sounding rude. As the afternoon turns into evening, many people slow down and prepare for the end of the day. You might say, "I need a bit of time to reset," or "I think I'll relax for a while." These sentences capture the feeling of winding down. When returning home, you can say, "I'm finally back," or "It feels good to be home." These reflect real emotions and natural expression. When talking to family or roommates, simple questions help you create warm interactions. Try, "Did you have a good day or anything interesting happen at work?" These small questions often lead to meaningful conversations. At dinner time, casual English becomes even more natural. You might say, "I'm planning to cook something simple tonight," or "Do you want to help with anything?" These are thoughtful and cooperative. When someone offers help, polite responses include, "That would be great. Thanks," or "I really appreciate it, but I'm okay." Tone and wording matter here. Soft, warm language makes you sound fluent and kind. As we keep building these examples, notice how each sentence connects to a real moment in daily life. This is the heart of natural. Advanced English. Let's continue exploring natural, everyday English through situations that happen in the evening, a time when many real conversations take place. This is when people unwind, talk about their day, make plans, handle small tasks, and interact with others in warm, genuine ways. As always, listen closely not just to the words, but to the flow, the tone, and the feeling behind each sentence. After you get home and settle in, it's common to check in with the people around you. Native speakers often use soft, friendly phrases like, "How was your day?" or "Did everything go okay today?" These questions might seem simple, but they help create connection and show genuine interest. When sharing about your own day, you can say, "It was a long day, but I got a lot done," or "I'm a bit tired, but everything went smoothly." These sentences are natural, balanced, and commonly used in daily conversations. Now imagine you're preparing dinner or grabbing something to eat. In English-speaking families or shared homes, people often say things like, "I'm thinking of making something quick tonight," or "Do you want to eat together?" These casual invitations feel warm and effortless. If you're offering help, you might say, "Do you need a hand with anything, or I can chop the vegetables if you want?" These are practical and kind expressions that reflect natural cooperation. If you're dining with others, simple comments make the moment more pleasant. You might say, "This smells amazing," or "I've been craving something like this all day." These small, expressive sentences help conversations flow smoothly. After dinner, people usually move into calm evening routines, maybe cleaning up, relaxing, or preparing things for tomorrow. When asking someone to help, phrases like, "Could you take care of the dishes tonight?" or "Do you mind drying these?" sound polite and natural. If you're doing it yourself, you can say, "I'll take care of this," or "Let me just finish up here." Now let's switch to social interactions during the evening. Maybe you message a friend and ask, "Are you free to talk for a bit, or do you want to catch up later tonight?" These sentences are friendly, light, and widely used. If someone messages you first, natural responses include, "I just got home," "What's up?" or "Give me a minute." "I'm finishing something." These help set expectations without sounding rushed. When talking about plans for the next day, native speakers often say, "I need to get an early start tomorrow," or "I should prepare a few things before bed." These expressions show routine, responsibility, and planning, all part of fluent communication. Before going to bed, many people like to unwind by watching something, reading, or simply relaxing. You could say, "I think I'll watch a show for a bit," or "I'm going to read for a while before sleeping." These sentences sound natural because they fit everyday situations perfectly. If you're inviting someone to join you, you can say, "Do you want to watch something together?" or "Feel free to join me if you want." These expressions are friendly and open, without pressure. When someone does something kind for you, offering help, bringing you something, or giving you advice, you can use warm, genuine responses like, "Thank you, that means a lot," or "I really appreciate that." These expressions strengthen relationships and show gratitude in a natural way. Now let's imagine another common situation: running small errands in the evening. Maybe you need to stop by a store or pick up something you forgot. Before leaving, you might say, "I'm stepping out for a minute," or "I'll be right back." These sentences tell others what to expect without giving too much detail. When asking for help at a store, polite sentences include, "Could you point me to the right section?" or "Do you know if this is the last one?" These are commonly used by native speakers because they're direct but gentle. If someone helps you, simple responses like, "Thanks, that was really helpful," or "I appreciate your time," sound sincere and respectful. On your way home, you might run into a neighbor or someone from your community. You can greet them with, "Good evening," or "How's everything going?" if you want to show friendliness. You might add, "Hope you had a good day," or "It's nice to see you again." These expressions build a sense of closeness and community. Now let's move into more practical, real-life conversations that happen around this time of day. For example, if you're coordinating schedules with someone, you can say, "What time works for you tomorrow?" or "Let me know your availability." These phrases keep communication smooth and efficient. If you're giving someone a quick update, you might say, "I'll send it over tonight," or "I'll get this done first thing in the morning." These sentences are extremely common in workplaces, study groups, and any environment where people rely on each other. Even when giving reminders, people often soften their tone. Instead of saying something direct like, "Don't forget," native speakers often say, "Just a reminder," or "Whenever you get the chance. Could you?" These small differences make your speech sound more natural, polite, and advanced. Another realistic evening scenario involves managing unexpected problems. Maybe a device stops working, you feel unwell, or something needs attention at home. If something breaks, you might say, "I'm not sure what happened, but it suddenly stopped working," or "Let me see if I can fix this." If you need help, you could say, "Do you know how to fix this, or could you take a look at this for me?" These expressions reflect real communication patterns, especially in shared living spaces. If you're feeling a bit tired or overwhelmed, you can naturally say, "I think I need to take a break," or "It's been a long day." These phrases help you express yourself honestly while still sounding composed. Now, let's touch on one more essential area preparing for the next day. People often say, I need to get my things ready for tomorrow, or let me set an alarm before I forget. These simple sentences capture everyday habits and responsibilities. Before ending the evening, you might exchange warm, familiar phrases like sleep well or have a good night. These are gentle, friendly, and extremely common in English-speaking households. Each of these sentences reflects real language, the kind people use with friends, coworkers, neighbors, and family. By practicing them, you're not just learning vocabulary, you're learning rhythm, tone, subtlety, and connection. Let's continue moving through real-life moments and natural English conversations that people use every single day. In this part, we'll explore situations like evening reflections, personal conversations, planning ahead, and handling simple but meaningful interactions. Listen carefully and imagine these moments in your own life. This helps your brain absorb the language in a natural, intuitive way. After the evening settles and things become quieter, many people take a moment to look back on their day. This is a great opportunity to practice expressive English. You might say, "Today felt really productive," or "I'm glad I managed to get through everything on my list." These sentences sound natural, reflective, and mature, exactly the kind of language advanced learners should use with confidence. If the day was difficult, you can express that too. Try saying, "It was a bit overwhelming, but I handled it," or "I'm exhausted, but I'm proud of what I accomplished." These expressions are honest, real, and widely used in daily life. When sharing these thoughts with someone else, keep the tone warm and natural. For example, "How did your day go?" or "Did anything unexpected happen today?" These open-ended questions invite deeper conversation and allow people to share their experiences freely. If someone tells you about a challenging situation, you can respond with empathy by saying, "That sounds tough. Are you doing okay?" or "I see why you'd feel that way." These responses show emotional intelligence, a key part of sounding natural and human in English. Now, let's shift into conversations that involve small decision-making. For example, imagine you're choosing what to do after dinner or thinking about how to spend the rest of your evening. You can say, "I'm deciding whether to watch something or just relax for a bit," or "I might take a short walk to clear my head." These casual sentences reflect daily choices and help you describe your thoughts naturally. If you're with someone else, you can include them in the conversation. "Do you feel like watching a movie tonight, or would you prefer something calm or something funny?" This type of language helps build smooth, easy interactions. Let's move into practical chores and home tasks, something everyone deals with. When checking things around the house, people often say, "I need to put away a few things," or "Let me tidy this up quickly." These sentences are short, simple, and extremely common. If you're planning to do laundry or clean, you might say, "I should probably get the laundry started," or "I'll vacuum tomorrow morning instead." These everyday expressions help you talk about your responsibilities naturally. When asking for help at home, polite sentences include, "Could you help me with this for a minute?" or "Do you mind taking care of that?" These gentle requests help you sound respectful and calm. If someone offers help, you can respond with appreciation. "That would be really helpful. Thank you," or "I appreciate it." That makes things easier. These warm responses mirror the way native speakers interact in close relationships. Now, imagine you're preparing for the next day, something nearly everyone does. Fluent speakers commonly use sentences like, "I need to set aside what I'm wearing tomorrow," or "Let me pack my bag now so I don't rush in the morning." These phrases reflect routine planning and organization. If you're scheduling something important, you can say, "I have an early meeting. so I need to sleep a bit earlier, or I want to wake up early to get a head start. These sentences show awareness of time and commitments, an essential part of natural communication. Let's take a moment to explore meaningful personal conversations, the kind that happen naturally at night when people are more relaxed. You might open a conversation with, "I've been thinking about something lately," or "There's something I wanted to share with you." These expressions create space for deeper dialogue. If someone shares their thoughts with you, natural responses include, "I appreciate you telling me. I understand what you mean," or "That makes a lot of sense." These kinds of responses help build trust, connection, and smooth communication. Now let's explore technology-related conversation, something that happens constantly in modern life. For example, if your phone or laptop isn't working properly, you might say, "My internet keeps cutting out," or "I think something's wrong with this app." If you need help, you can say, "Do you know how to fix this, or could you show me what to do?" These questions are polite and natural. If you're the one giving advice, native speakers often use simple, clear sentences like "try restarting it" or "make sure it's updated." These short suggestions reflect how people talk about technology in daily life. Now imagine you're texting someone or answering messages in the evening. Common phrases include "just got home," "what's up, I'll reply properly in a bit," or "let me get back to you on that." These sentences sound casual, friendly, and modern, perfect for natural English conversation. Let's shift into community interactions or quick conversations with neighbors. If you meet someone outside, you might say, "Good evening, hope you're doing well." Or "Nice weather tonight, isn't it?" These are simple but effective. If you need to request something politely, you can say, "Would it be okay to lower the noise a little?" or "Do you mind if I borrow this for a moment?" These phrases are respectful and commonly used in real life. Now, let's move into a realistic situation, giving feedback or offering opinions. Evening is often when people reflect on their day, so you might say, "I feel good about how things went," or "I think I could have handled that better." These expressions help you speak honestly and naturally. When someone asks your opinion, you can respond with, "I think that's a good idea," or "maybe we could try something different next time." These phrases create constructive, friendly communication. Each of these sentences mirrors natural interactions that native speakers use instinctively. By repeating them and imagining the scenarios, you train your mind to think in English, not just translate it. Let's continue deepening your exposure to real, natural English, the kind that comes straight from everyday life. In this section, we'll move through situations that involve planning, communication, emotions, routines, and interactions that advanced learners must master to sound truly fluent. Remember to listen for tone, rhythm, and flow, because fluency is not just about words, it's about how comfortably you move between them. Imagine it's later in the evening and you're getting ready to wrap up your day. You might hear or say sentences like, "Let me finish a couple of things before I call it a night," or "I want to clear my mind a bit before going to bed." These expressions reflect calm, thoughtful communication, something native speakers use all the time to transition from one part of their day to another. If you're discussing plans for tomorrow, you might say, "I'll check my schedule in the morning," or "I should make a quick list so I don't forget anything." These sentences are practical and natural. They show intention without sounding overly formal. When coordinating plans with someone else, people often use gentle phrasing such as, "Does this time work for you?" or "Let me know if that's okay." These expressions help avoid misunderstandings and keep conversations smooth. Now let's move into conversations about self-care and personal well-being, something many people talk about at the end of the day. You might hear someone say, "I think I need to slow down a bit," or I haven't slept well lately. I should take better care of myself. These sentences feel honest and relatable. If someone shares a concern or feeling with you, natural responses include, "Thanks for telling me," or "I'm here if you need anything." These warm, supportive sentences are essential for natural communication. Let's switch the scene. Imagine you're organizing your workspace or preparing for school or work the next day. Common phrases include, "Let me get this area sorted out," or "I need to put everything in one place so I don't rush tomorrow." These are everyday expressions, used worldwide, that help you speak naturally about small tasks. If you're trying to focus or get something done quickly, you might say, "Give me a few minutes to wrap this up," or "I need a moment to concentrate." These are polite, clear, and widely used in both personal and professional settings. Now let's step into a different kind of evening interaction, one involving hobbies or personal interests. When talking about what you like to do in your free time, natural sentences include, "I've been getting into reading again," or "I've started watching a new series. It's been pretty interesting." These expressions help you talk about your interests casually and fluently. If someone asks you for recommendations, you can respond with sentences like, "You might enjoy this one. It's really well done." Or if you like something relaxing, "This is a good choice." These are friendly, natural suggestions. Next, let's explore a common situation many people experience reflecting on something they learned or discovered during the day. You might say, "I learned something new today," or "I didn't expect that, but it turned out to be really useful." These expressions show growth and curiosity, great qualities for language learners. When sharing your thoughts with someone else, native speakers often use sentences like, "It made me think differently," or "I'm glad I tried that." These short, expressive sentences help convey meaningful experiences naturally. Now imagine you're handling a small household issue, maybe something needs fixing or rearranging. You might say, "This doesn't seem to be working right," or "Let me see if I can sort this out." These are practical, everyday sentences used constantly in English-speaking homes. If you need help, polite requests include, "Could you give me a hand with this?" or "Do you know how to do this?" These are extremely common and help you communicate with respect. If someone asks for your help, natural responses include, "Sure, what do you need, or I can help you with that." These sound relaxed and friendly. Let's shift into talking about emotions, a crucial part of sounding truly natural in English. Instead of using textbook phrases, native speakers use softer, more personal language. For example, "I've been feeling a bit off today," or "I'm in a better mood now." These expressions are subtle and realistic. When someone else expresses how they feel, you can respond with, "I totally get that," or "That's understandable." These phrases show empathy, an essential skill for advanced conversation. Now let's explore social invitations that often happen in the evening. If you want to invite someone politely, you can say, "Do you want to hang out later this week?" or "I'm thinking of grabbing a coffee tomorrow. Want to join?" These are friendly, modern, and used worldwide. If you're accepting an invitation, you might say, "Sounds good to me," or "I'd love to." If you can't go, you can respond naturally by saying, "I wish I could, but I've already got something planned." These keep your tone polite and warm. Let's move into another realistic area, talking about the weather, the atmosphere, or your environment. These conversations happen everywhere and help build small talk naturally. Heisio, you might say, "It feels nice outside tonight," or "The temperature dropped a bit. It's cooler than earlier." These sentences are easy but incredibly common. If you're commenting on the atmosphere indoors, you might say, "It feels cozy in here," or "I like the quiet tonight." These expressions add personal feeling to normal conversation. Now, imagine you're wrapping up your day. People often use gentle phrases like, I'm going to call it a night, or I should get some rest. These are natural, familiar ways to end a conversation or signal bedtime. If you're saying goodnight to someone, you might say, sleep well or have a restful night. These simple, sincere sentences add warmth to your communication, something learners often forget but native speakers use all the time. Everything you've heard in this section is real, natural English, the kind used in households, workplaces, cafes, and communities around the world. The more these expressions become part of your daily thinking, the more fluent and effortless your English will sound. Let's continue exploring the kinds of conversations that help you sound truly fluent, natural, and confident in English. In this section, we'll move into practical interaction situations like shopping, transportation, handling small problems, giving opinions, and communicating politely with strangers and service workers. These are the real moments that shape your English in everyday life. Imagine you're at a grocery store or a small shop. You're looking for something specific, but you can't seem to find it. A very natural way to ask is, excuse me, do you know where I can find this? Or, is this the right aisle for cleaning supplies? These are polite, simple sentences native speakers use all the time. If an item is unavailable, you can ask, do you happen to know when this will be restocked? Or, is there a similar product you'd recommend? These questions are gentle and respectful, perfect for sounding natural. When paying, you might hear or say, could I get a bag, please, or do you take card? These short expressions appear in almost every transaction. If the cashier or employee thanks you, you can respond with, you're welcome, or thanks, have a good day. These tiny moments of politeness make your English feel pleasant and smooth. Now imagine you're at a clothing store trying something on. To ask for another size, you might say, do you have this in a medium, or could I try this in a different color? These sentences reflect everyday reality and help you express your needs clearly. If you're unsure about something, you can also ask, what do you think of this? Or does this look okay on me? Native speakers regularly use these small, natural comments to make shopping feel social and relaxed. Let's move into transportation, something everyone deals with. If you're at a bus stop, you can ask, does this bus go downtown, or how long until the next one arrives? These questions are short and commonly used. If you're taking a taxi or rideshare, you might say, could you take me to this address, or is it okay if I open the window? These friendly, respectful sentences help create a comfortable atmosphere. If you're running late and need to update someone, natural phrases include, I'm on my way, I'll be there shortly, or traffic is a bit slow right now. These are extremely common phrases that show awareness and courtesy. Now, let's explore moments where you need information. For example, if you're traveling or visiting a new place, you can ask, is this the right direction for the station? Or, could you point me toward the exit? These are clear, polite, and used constantly in English-speaking environments. If someone asks you for directions, you can respond with, go straight and take the second left, or it's right across from the library. These simple direction phrases are essential for real conversations. Next, let's look at small but important interactions with service staff at cafes or restaurants. When ordering, you might say, could I get a coffee? Please, or I'll have the soup today. These are direct but polite. If you want a recommendation, natural sentences include, what do you suggest, or is there something you recommend today? These questions help you communicate naturally while also sounding friendly. When your food arrives, you can say, thank you, this looks great, or thanks for bringing this out so quickly. These sentences show appreciation and help create positive interactions. If there's a small issue, maybe something was made incorrectly, polite phrases include, "Excuse me, I think this might be a mistake." Or would it be possible to have this adjusted? Native speakers use soft language to keep the interaction calm and respectful. Now let's move into the topic of giving opinions, something advanced learners often struggle with. When expressing your thoughts, it's important to sound clear but not too strong. You might say, "I think this could work well," or "in my opinion, we might need more time." These phrases introduce your viewpoint gently. If someone asks what you think, you can respond with, "It seems like a good idea," or "I'm not completely sure. Maybe we should look at it again." These softening expressions help you sound confident without being harsh. When responding to someone else's opinion, natural replies include, "I see what you mean," or "That's a good point." These expressions show understanding and respect, essential in advanced communication. Let's explore handling small daily problems, a part of life in any language. If something goes wrong, people often say, "Let me try to fix this," or "I'm not sure what happened, but I'll take a look." These sentences keep the situation calm. If something is beyond your ability, natural phrases include, "Do you know how to fix this?" or "I might need to get some help." These show honesty and practicality. If someone asks for your assistance, a friendly response is, "Sure, what do you need?" or "I can try to help with that." These kinds of sentences build cooperation and supportive communication. Now imagine you're interacting with neighbors or people in your community, something that adds meaning to everyday life. You might start with, "Good evening, hope you're doing well," or "Nice to see you." These warm greetings help create a positive environment. If you need to request something politely, you can say, "Would it be okay to keep the noise down a little, or do you mind if I borrow this?" These gentle sentences help prevent conflict and show respect. If someone thanks you, natural responses include, "No problem at all," or "Anytime." These short expressions create harmony in social interactions. Let's talk about personal routines and small habits, an important part of daily English. You might say, "I'm trying to drink more water," or "I've been working on getting up earlier." These sentences share habits naturally and realistically. If someone asks about your progress, you can say, "I'm getting better at it," or "I'm still working on it." These honest sentences reflect real-life experiences. Now, let's move into discussing feelings casually, something many learners avoid, but native speakers do naturally. You can say, "I feel a bit tired today," or "I'm in a pretty good mood." These expressions help you communicate smoothly and authentically. If someone shares their feelings with you, you can respond with, "That makes sense, I understand," or "I'm glad you're feeling better." These short but meaningful phrases show empathy, a core element of natural communication. Everything we're practicing here builds your ability to handle real English in real life, not textbook English, but living, breathing conversations used by native speakers every day. In this section, we're going to move into richer, more dynamic real-life conversations, the kind that allow you to express personality, emotion, and subtle meaning. This is the level where your English begins to feel truly alive. We'll look at how native speakers naturally talk about plans, hobbies, frustrations, encouragement, problem solving, and day-to-day interactions that shape the rhythm of real communication. Let's start with a common scenario: making casual plans. Imagine you're chatting with a friend and you want to suggest something to do. Natural phrases include, "I was thinking we could try that new cafe," or "Do you want to walk around for a bit?" These sentences feel light and easy, perfect for everyday conversation. If the other person suggests something, natural responses include, "Yeah, that sounds good to me," or "I'm open to that." These positive, flexible sentences make you sound relaxed and cooperative. If you're unsure or need time to think, native speakers often say, "Let me think about it," or "I'll get back to you." These expressions give you space without sounding distant or rude. Now let's explore interactions around hobbies and personal interests. When talking about something you enjoy, it's common to say, "I've really been into this lately," or "I started learning this, and I'm enjoying it so far." These sentences sound genuine and conversational. If you're recommending something, you might say, "You should check this out. It's really good," or "I think you'd enjoy this." These short, friendly recommendations appear constantly in natural English. When someone shares their interests with you, you can react with, "That's cool," or "I didn't know you liked that." These simple expressions help keep conversations natural and supportive. Now let's move into a realistic daily moment feeling stressed or tired. Everyone experiences this, and expressing it naturally in English is important. Instead of stiff textbook sentences, native speakers use gentle, relaxed expressions like, "It's been one of those days," or "I feel a bit drained." These phrases are subtle but powerful. If someone else shares that they're struggling, you can respond with, "I hear you. That sounds tough," or "I hope things get better soon." These are warm, empathetic, and very real. Let's shift into problem-solving language, something advanced speakers must master. Imagine you're working with someone on a project. Natural phrases include, "Let's figure this out. Maybe we could try a different approach," or "What if we look at it from another angle?" These expressions show flexibility and confidence. If there's confusion or disagreement, softening language helps keep the conversation smooth. You might say, "I see what you mean, but," or "I get your point. Maybe we could also consider." These balanced expressions allow you to share your thoughts without sounding aggressive. Now let's explore how people talk when something unexpected happens. For example, if plans change, native speakers often say, "Something came up," or "I might need to adjust my plans." These are polite ways to explain without giving too much detail. If you need clarification, you can ask, "So what's the update?" or "Can you fill me in?" These casual questions help you understand the situation naturally. When things go well, positive expressions include, "That worked out nicely," or "I'm glad that went smoothly." These small sentences add realism to your communication. Now imagine you're having a deeper conversation with a friend or coworker. You want to check in emotionally. You might say, "How have you been holding up?" or "Is everything all right with you lately?" These questions show care and invite honest responses. If someone asks you a personal question and you need time, you can say, "I'm still figuring that out," or "I'm working on it." These answers are thoughtful and commonly used in English-speaking cultures. Let's move to another everyday topic, food and routines. When talking about meals, natural lines include, "I'm thinking of cooking something simple tonight," or "I've been trying to eat healthier lately." These conversational sentences help you sound fluent and relatable. If you're asking someone else, you can say, "What are you in the mood for?" or "Do you feel like eating out or staying in?" These create friendly, flowing conversations. Now, let's imagine you're ending a long day and someone asks about it. Natural ways to describe your experience include, "It was pretty busy, but manageable," or "Nothing special today, just the usual." These sentences are short, natural summaries that native speakers use daily. If something interesting happened, you can say, "You won't believe what happened today," or "Let me tell you something funny that happened earlier." These expressions smoothly open a story and grab the listener's attention. Let's shift to discussing priorities or responsibilities. People often say, "I need to take care of a few things first," or "Let me finish this before I forget." These sentences reflect real-life thinking and planning. If you're reassuring someone, you might say, "No rush," or "Take your time." These short, supportive phrases appear constantly in natural English. Let's explore another scenario offering help. You might say, "Do you want me to handle that?" Or "I can take care of this if you want." These are polite and proactive. If someone offers help, you can respond with, "Thanks, that would be great," or "I appreciate it, but I'm okay." These balanced expressions sound natural and respectful. Now let's move into expressing curiosity, a crucial part of natural conversation. You can say, "I've always wondered about that," or "How does that work?" These keep the conversation going and show genuine interest. When someone explains something, you might respond with, "Oh, that makes sense," or "I didn't know that." These simple reactions show engagement. Let's transition into small conversational moments with strangers or acquaintances. For example, in an elevator or waiting room, you might hear "Long day, can't believe how fast time is going," or "Looks like the weather is changing again." These light comments keep things friendly and natural. If you want to maintain polite boundaries, responses like, "Yeah, it's been a busy day," or "Tell me about it," sound casual but safe. Everything in this section reflects real-life English, not scripted, not overly formal, but warm, flexible, and used every day by millions of people. In this part, we're going to expand into more nuanced, natural conversations that native speakers use in everyday situations. These include workplace communication, personal reflections, handling misunderstandings, expressing appreciation, addressing concerns politely, and strengthening human connection through simple but powerful sentences. The goal is to help you sound not just fluent, but genuinely natural. Let's begin with workplace conversations, something many advanced English learners face daily. Imagine you're discussing a project with a colleague. Natural expressions include, "Let's take a moment to go over this," or "Do you think we should adjust anything before we move forward?" These questions show collaboration and thoughtful communication. If you need clarification, you might say, "Could you walk me through this part again, or I want to make sure I understand this correctly?" These sentences are polite, clear, and used constantly in real professional environments. When giving updates, natural phrases include, "I'm currently working on it," "I should have this ready soon," or "I'll send it over once I'm done." These short updates keep communication smooth and efficient. If something takes longer than expected, native speakers often say, "This is taking a bit more time than I thought," or "I want to make sure I do this properly." These sentences frame delays in a positive, professional way. Now let's explore how people handle misunderstandings, a crucial part of advanced communication. If you realize something wasn't understood, you can say, "Sorry, let me rephrase that." Or "Maybe I didn't explain it clearly." These phrases help you reset the conversation without blaming anyone. If you misunderstood someone else, you might say, "Oh, I see what you meant now," or "Thanks for clarifying that." These short expressions show respect and understanding. If something is still unclear, you can use gentle language such as, "Could you give me an example?" or "I'm still a bit confused. Could you break it down for me?" These questions keep the tone positive and constructive. Now, let's shift to expressing appreciation, something that brings warmth and connection into any conversation. If someone helps you, a natural way to respond is, "I really appreciate your help," or "Thanks, that means a lot." These sentences feel sincere without being overly formal. If someone gives you feedback or advice, you can say, "Thanks for the insight," or "I'll keep that in mind." These simple expressions make you sound thoughtful and respectful. Now imagine you're in a situation where someone compliments you. Instead of giving a flat response like "Thank you," native speakers often say, "That's really kind of you." or I appreciate that. These responses feel warm and authentic. Let's move into conversations about personal challenges or concerns, something that real English speakers handle with care. If you're confiding in someone, you might say, I've been dealing with a lot lately, or I'm trying to work through it step by step. These sentences are gentle, honest, and relatable. If someone shares their worries with you, natural responses include, I'm here for you. If you need anything, just let me know. Or that must be really hard. These supportive phrases show compassion and emotional maturity. Now let's step into a different setting meeting someone new, whether at a social event, workplace, or casual environment. Native speakers often start with friendly, soft introductions like, it's nice to meet you, or I've heard good things about you. These sentences create a welcoming atmosphere. If you want to learn more about them, you can ask, so what do you do or how long have you been here? These questions are simple but effective for natural small talk. When the conversation flows, you can add, that's interesting. Or I didn't know that. These short reactions show curiosity and engagement. Now, let's explore more emotional and introspective language, the kind advanced learners need to deepen conversations. For example, you might say, I've been thinking a lot about my goals lately, or I'm trying to find more balance in my life. These expressions open the door to meaningful dialogue. If someone shares something personal, natural supportive replies include, I get where you're coming from, or thanks for sharing that with me. These show respect and genuine listening. Let's move into practical life moments involving planning and decision-making, you might say. I'm weighing my options, or I want to take some time to think this through. These are incredibly common ways to express careful consideration. If you're deciding with someone else, useful sentences include, let's look at the pros and cons, or what works best for you. These help you collaborate naturally and respectfully. Now imagine you're giving someone encouragement, an important skill in real communication. You can say, you're doing great, keep going, or don't be too hard on yourself. These uplifting sentences sound genuine and supportive. If you're the one needing encouragement, natural expressions include, I'm trying my best, or I'll get through it. These sentences are simple but powerful. Next, let's explore interactions during travel or public transportation, something millions of people experience daily. You might ask, is this the right line for downtown, or how many stops until we reach the station? These questions help you navigate naturally. If someone asks you for help, you can say, you can get off at the next stop, or it's a few minutes away. These brief answers are what real people use. Let's shift into describing small achievements, something native speakers mention casually throughout the day. You might say, I finally finished that task, or I'm glad I got that done. These sentences carry a sense of light accomplishment. If you're congratulating someone, you can say, good job, or that's awesome, well done. These everyday expressions show encouragement and positivity. Now let's explore a classic English conversation topic, the weather. It's used constantly for small talk. Natural lines include, it's getting colder, or looks like it might rain later. These are effortless and commonly used. If you want to continue the conversation, you can add, do you prefer warm weather or cooler days? This transforms simple small talk into a fuller conversation. Let's move to evening relaxation. People often say, I just want to unwind, or I need a quiet moment to myself. These gentle phrases are realistic ways to express how you feel after a long day. If you're checking in on someone else, you might ask, are you doing okay, or how are you feeling tonight? These questions sound natural and caring. Every sentence in this section mirrors the way native speakers communicate: warm, thoughtful, flexible, and completely grounded in everyday life. This is the English that helps you connect with people, not just speak to them. In this section, we're going deeper into the rhythm of everyday communication, the small, natural sentences native speakers use constantly. These are the expressions that make your English feel effortless, spontaneous, and truly fluent. We'll explore topics like checking in with others, setting boundaries politely, managing time, expressing preferences, reacting to news, and navigating small social interactions with ease. Let's begin with checking in on someone, a simple act that creates stronger connections. You might say, "Hey, how are things going for you today?" Or "I just wanted to see how you're doing." These warm, natural sentences show care without sounding formal. If someone asks how you are, instead of giving a flat "I'm fine," you can use more realistic answers like, "I'm doing all right," "I'm hanging in there," or "It's been a busy day, but I'm okay." These sound much more genuine. Now imagine you want to set healthy boundaries, something very important in natural communication. If someone asks for help and you're not available, you can say, "I'd love to help, but I'm a bit tied up right now." Or "Can we do this a little later?" These sentences are polite and respectful, and they help you communicate honestly. If you need to decline an invitation or request, natural expressions include, "I wish I could, but I've already got plans. I think I need to pass this time," or "I appreciate the invite, but I can't make it." These expressions soften the rejection and keep the conversation friendly. Let's move into time management, something native speakers talk about all the time. If you're trying to organize your day, you might say, "I should get started soon," or "I need to stay on track today." These are simple but extremely common. If someone asks when you're available, natural replies include, "Any time after lunch works for me," or "I'm free later in the afternoon." These sentences help keep planning smooth and flexible. When you're running late, native speakers typically use gentle phrases like, "I'm on my way," "Sorry, I'm running a bit behind," or "I'll be there as soon as I can." These sentences manage expectations without making the situation feel stressful. Now let's dive into expressing preferences, something that helps you sound natural, confident, and authentic. You might say, "I prefer something light tonight," or "I'm in the mood for something warm." These phrases help you talk about food, activities, or choices in a natural, conversational way. If someone asks for your opinion, you can respond with, "I'm okay with anything," or "Whatever works for you." These casual expressions show flexibility. Now imagine you receive good news from someone. Natural reactions include, "That's amazing," "I'm really happy for you," or "That's great to hear." These are warm, enthusiastic responses that sound genuine. If someone shares bad news, gentle expressions include, "I'm sorry to hear that. That must be really difficult," or "I hope things get better soon." These sentences help you respond with empathy, something essential for advanced communication. Next, let's shift to describing your day or your feelings more vividly. Instead of textbook phrases, native speakers use expressions like, "Today flew by," "It dragged on forever," or "I'm feeling a little out of it." These expressions carry emotion and realism. If you're talking about productivity, you might say, "I got a lot done today," or "I didn't get as much done as I hoped." These casual reflections are extremely common. Let's move into reacting naturally during conversations. If someone says something relatable, you might respond with, "I know what you mean," or "I've been there." These quick, supportive reactions keep conversations flowing. If someone shares something surprising, native reactions include, "No way, seriously," or "You're kidding." These short phrases show emotion without needing long explanations. Now imagine you're in a small social situation, maybe in an elevator, waiting room, or shared workspace. Light comments like, "It's pretty quiet today," or "This day is going by slowly," help break the silence naturally. If someone starts the conversation, you can answer with something simple like, "Yeah, it's been calm," or "Tell me about it." These replies are short but natural. Now let's explore expressing gratitude in more thoughtful ways. Instead of just saying thanks, you can say, "I really appreciate that. That means a lot," or "Thanks for taking the time." These expressions add warmth and sincerity. If someone thanks you, you can respond with, "Anytime, no problem at all," or "Glad I could help." These are simple, friendly replies that sound very natural. Let's move into everyday decision making when choosing between options. Natural phrases include, "I'm leaning toward this one. I think this might be a better fit," or "I haven't made up my mind yet." These help you express uncertainty and preference smoothly. If someone asks for your input, you can say, "It's up to you," or "I'm good with either option." These flexible expressions make conversations flow easily. Now, imagine you're talking about simple routines, something that native speakers mention constantly. You might say, "I'm trying to drink more water," "I've been waking up earlier," or "I'm working on cutting back on coffee." These sentences sound personal, honest, and relatable. If someone asks how it's going, you can reply with, "It's a work in progress," or "I'm getting better at it." These natural answers help you speak more like a native. Let's shift into community interactions. When greeting neighbors or acquaintances, you might say, "Evening. How are you? Nice to see you again," or "Hope you're having a good night." These short sentences keep the interaction warm and polite. If you need something small, you can say, "Do you mind if I borrow this, or could I trouble you for a minute?" These are polite, respectful ways to make requests. Finally, let's talk about winding down at the end of the day. Native speakers use gentle, calming sentences like, "I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the night," "I need a quiet moment," or "I think I'll head to bed soon." These expressions help you transition naturally into your nighttime routine. Every sentence you've heard in this section comes from real daily life, authentic, flexible, and used constantly by native speakers. Practicing them will train you to think, react, and communicate in English effortlessly. As we continue, let's explore even more of the subtle, natural expressions native speakers use all day long, the ones that help your English feel warm, confident, and truly alive in real conversations. Let's begin with moments of planning and organizing your week. Native speakers often use simple, flexible phrases like, "I'm trying to sort out my schedule," or "Let me double check my week before I commit." These sentences help you sound thoughtful and considerate when making plans. If someone invites you to something, but you're unsure, you might reply with, "Let me see how my day looks," or "I'll get back to you in a bit." These are soft, polite ways to delay a decision without sounding rude or uninterested. When confirming plans, common expressions include, "We're still on for tomorrow," "Right," or "Just making sure we're meeting at the same time." These casual check-ins are extremely common in daily communication. Now let's move to describing your mental state or energy levels, something native speakers do constantly. Instead of saying, "I'm fine," you can use more expressive phrases like, "I'm feeling a little drained today," "I'm pretty energized this morning," or "I'm somewhere in the middle, not tired, not full of energy." These sentences help you sound more authentic and relatable. To express low motivation, natural phrases include, "I'm having a hard time getting started," or "I'm trying to get myself moving." For higher motivation, you might say, "I'm ready to dive in," or "I'm on a roll today." These expressions make your English feel more dynamic. Let's shift to describing physical sensations, something learners often overlook. Native speakers use simple, clear sentences like, my back feels a bit stiff, my eyes are tired from staring at a screen, or my shoulders are a little sore. These everyday descriptions help you talk more naturally about how you feel. If you're feeling uncomfortable but don't want to sound dramatic, you can say, I'm not feeling like myself today, or something feels a little off. These soft expressions are widely used in real life. Now let's explore interactions at work or school. When requesting clarification, instead of textbook phrases, you can say, could you walk me through that again, or I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. If you didn't catch something, common expressions include, sorry, what was that, or could you repeat the last part for me? These are extremely natural and used constantly by native speakers. When giving updates or progress reports, you can say, I'm almost done with this, I'm making steady progress, or I'm still working through a few things. These sound realistic, professional, and friendly. Let's move into collaboration. If you want to offer help without being too direct, try let me know if you need anything. I can jump in if you want. Or if it helps, I'm happy to take care of this part. These sentences show support in a natural and polite way. If you need help yourself, gentle expressions include, do you have a moment? Could you lend me a hand with this, or I could use a second pair of eyes? These sound confident without being demanding. Now let's talk about expressing curiosity, a key part of sounding natural. You can use, I've always wondered about that. How does that usually work, or what made you decide to do that? These questions open up conversation and show genuine interest. If someone tells you something interesting, you can respond with, that makes sense. That actually explains a lot. Or, that's really interesting. These supportive statements help keep conversations flowing. Next, let's shift to navigating public spaces, extremely common in daily life. If you need to ask for assistance, you can say, excuse me, could you point me in the right direction, or is this the line for tickets? If you're unsure about something, try, is this the right place for check-in, or do I need to fill out anything before I go in? These are natural, polite, and widely used. If someone holds the door for you, respond with thanks, I appreciate it, or thank you, that was kind of you. Simple gestures like these show politeness and friendliness. Now imagine you're at a cafe or bakery, a daily situation millions of people experience around the world. Natural expressions include, can I get a medium latte? Please, I'll take whatever's fresh today. Or do you have anything that's not too sweet? If you're choosing between items, native speakers say, I'm torn between these two, or what do you recommend? When receiving your order, you can reply with, thanks, looks great, or thanks a lot, have a good one. These quick, natural responses make your English sound more effortless. Let's jump into social conversations now, one of the most important parts of mastering English when catching up with someone. You might start with, what have you been up to lately? How's everything on your end, or anything new going on? If someone shares a funny or surprising story, natural reactions include, that's hilarious, you're kidding, or no way, that actually happened. These reactions bring warmth and personality to your speech. When someone shares a personal experience, you can connect by saying, that's kind of how I felt last week. I've gone through something similar, or I can totally relate. These responses build deeper, more meaningful conversations. Now let's explore expressing comfort and discomfort in social settings. When you're feeling at ease, you might say, I feel really comfortable here, or this place has a nice vibe. When you're overwhelmed, you might use gentle phrases like, I think I need a breather, or I just need a minute. These authentic sentences help you express yourself in a natural human way. Let's move to decision-making during group situations. Phrases like, I'm okay with whatever you choose, I'm flexible, or I'm good either way are commonly used to show openness. If you want someone else's opinion first, you can say, what do you think, or I'm curious to hear your take. And when wrapping up a conversation or meeting, you can say, all right, sounds good to me. Let's touch base later, or keep me posted. These short, natural sentences help conversations end smoothly. Everything in this section mirrors the real English spoken every day in workplaces, cafes, homes, and social situations all over the world. Practicing them will help you understand native conversations more easily and respond with confidence and personality. As we continue, let's step further into the small, everyday interactions that shape natural English communication. These are the moments native speakers rarely think about, yet they reveal how English truly works in daily life. Soft expressions, gentle transitions, clear reactions, and subtle emotional details. Let's begin with expressing small updates about your life, something people do constantly. Instead of giving long explanations, native speakers often use short, natural sentences like, I've been keeping busy, things have been pretty good lately, or not much going on, just the usual. These quick, casual updates sound effortless and natural. If someone asks how your week has been, you might answer with, it's been a productive week. Honestly, it's been a bit overwhelming, or it's been a mix of good and stressful. These phrases help you sound honest and relatable. Now let's move into conversations about goals and intentions, something people discuss in both casual and professional settings. You can say, I'm trying to get better at managing my time. I'm working on being more consistent, or I'm planning to focus on this more. These sentences communicate progress without sounding formal. If someone asks what you hope to accomplish, natural replies include, I want to make steady progress, I'm aiming for small improvements, or I'm taking things one step at a time. These expressions show patience and realistic thinking. Let's shift to expressing mild concerns, a very common part of native communication. You might say, I'm a little worried about that. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, or I have a feeling we might need more time. These gentle phrases help you express uncertainty without sounding negative. If you want to suggest caution, you can say, let's take it slow, or maybe we should think this through a bit more. These subtle suggestions keep conversations collaborative. Next, let's move into talking about expectations. If someone asks how something might turn out, natural responses include, it could go either way, I think it'll work out fine, or I'm hoping for the best. These simple expressions carry flexibility and optimism. When someone asks what you're expecting from an event or situation, you might reply with, I'm not expecting anything big. I'm curious to see how it goes, or I'm keeping my expectations realistic. These sound thoughtful and grounded. Now let's explore social coordination, making plans, adjusting plans, and staying in touch if you need to reschedule. Natural sentences include, something came up, can we move it to later? I'm running a bit behind. Can we push it back, or is it okay if we shift it by a few minutes? These light, polite expressions keep things smooth even when plans change. If you're confirming details, you might say, just to be sure, we're meeting at the same spot, right? I'll let you know when I'm close, or I'll text you once I'm on my way. These are extremely common in everyday English. Now let's talk about expressing relief, something native speakers do many times a day. You might say, I'm glad that's over. That takes a weight off my shoulders. Or finally, I can breathe. These sentences sound natural and sincere. If someone shares good news about a situation being resolved, natural reactions include, that's such a relief, I'm happy it worked out, or that makes everything easier. These supportive sentences build connection. Let's shift to expressing mild frustration but in a polite, natural way. You might say this is a bit annoying. This is taking longer than I expected. Or I didn't think it would be this complicated. These soft phrases communicate frustration without sounding harsh. If you want to keep things positive, you can add, but it's okay, I'll figure it out, or I'll get through it. These balancing statements sound realistic and mature. Next, let's explore expressing surprise or curiosity. When someone tells you something unexpected, you might respond with seriously no way, that's wild, or wait, what happened after that? These reactions keep conversations lively. If you want more information, try tell me more, how did that happen, or what made you do that? These questions show genuine engagement. Now let's turn to discussing whether one of the easiest, most universal conversation topics. Native speakers use simple sentences like, it feels chilly today, it's warmer than I expected, or the wind is picking up. If you're talking about future weather, you might say looks like it's gonna rain later. I heard it'll cool down tonight, or I hope the weather holds up. These short weather statements help break the ice in many situations. Let's move into talking about your surroundings. Native speakers often make small comments like, it's nice and quiet here. This place feels cozy, or wow, it's pretty crowded today. These observational sentences come naturally in conversations. Now imagine you're at someone's house, something learners often feel unsure about. You can say, your place is really nice. I love the atmosphere here, or this is such a comfortable space. If you need something, soft expressions include, do you mind if I grab some water? Could I use your Wi-Fi, or is it okay if I sit here? These polite sentences help you navigate social spaces naturally. Let's shift into conversations about food, another extremely common topic. You can describe your preferences by saying, I'm in the mood for something light, I'm craving something warm, or I'm trying to eat healthier. If someone asks how the food tastes, natural responses include, this is really good, it hits the spot, or it's simple, but delicious. These short comments sound real and friendly. Now let's talk about navigating misunderstandings. If you didn't catch something, you can say sorry. Could you run that by me again? I think I missed the last part, or wait, what do you mean by that? If you want to check you understood correctly, use, so you're saying, just to make sure I got it right, or do you mean? These phrases make conversation smoother and prevent confusion. Let's explore transition sentences that naturally guide conversations forward. Native speakers often use expressions like, by the way. Speaking of that, on a different note, or before I forget. These transition phrases help you move between topics effortlessly. Finally, let's cover expressing gratitude and appreciation in deeper, more meaningful ways. Instead of just saying thanks, you might say thanks for checking in on me. I really value your help. Or that means a lot coming from you. These expressions strengthen relationships and show emotional intelligence, a key part of sounding advanced and natural. Everything you've heard in this section reflects real English used every day, honest, gentle, expressive, and deeply human. These sentences help you master the softer, more emotional side of communication, something essential for true fluency. As we come to the final part of this full-length listening practice, we're going to dive into some of the deeper, more reflective expressions. Native speakers use the kinds of sentences that reveal thoughtfulness, emotional awareness, and real-life communication skills. These are phrases that help you express who you are, how you feel, and what matters to you in a natural, fluent, and confident way. Let's begin with talking about personal reflection, something people share often in meaningful conversations. You might say, I've been thinking a lot about that lately. I'm trying to see things from a different angle. or I'm learning to be more patient with myself. These expressions show emotional depth and help you connect with others on a more personal level. If someone asks how you're feeling about something important, you can respond with, I'm still figuring it out. I'm honestly not sure yet, or I'm taking things day by day. These gentle, thoughtful sentences help you express uncertainty without sounding lost. Let's move into talking about personal growth, a topic native speakers often discuss with friends, family, or colleagues. You might say, I'm working on improving my habits, I'm trying to stay more consistent, or I want to challenge myself a little more. These sentences show progress and self-awareness. If someone asks what motivates you, natural responses include, I want to be better than I was yesterday. I'm trying to build a healthier routine, or I'm focusing on what I can control. These expressions sound grounded and mature. Now let's shift to expressing gratitude on a deeper level. Instead of the simple thank you, you can say, I really appreciate you being here for me. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Or I don't know what I would have done without your support. These heartfelt sentences reflect genuine appreciation and help strengthen relationships. When someone does something kind unexpectedly, you might respond with, that was incredibly thoughtful of you. You didn't have to do that, but thank you. Or that really made my day. These natural reactions express gratitude warmly and sincerely. Next, let's talk about expressing hopes or wishes, another very common part of deep conversation. You can say, I hope things fall into place soon. I'm wishing for a fresh start. Or I really hope this works out. These sentences reflect optimism and vulnerability in a soft, natural tone. If someone shares their dreams or goals with you, supportive responses include, I hope you get everything you're aiming for. You deserve something great to happen. Or I'm rooting for you. These are meaningful and uplifting. Now let's explore endings, closing conversations, wrapping up meetings, or saying goodbye in a warm and professional way. Instead of simple endings, native speakers often use phrases like, it was great catching up, let's stay in touch, or let's pick this up another time. These show friendliness and openness. If you want to express appreciation before parting ways, try thanks for the conversation. I really enjoyed talking with you. Or your insights were really helpful. These closing sentences create positive impressions. Now let's shift to navigating small challenges politely. When you're facing minor difficulties, you can say, I'll figure something out. I'll see what I can do. Or I'll make it work. These phrases show resilience without sounding dramatic. If someone asks whether things are okay, you can answer with, it's a bit challenging, but I'm handling it. Or it's not ideal, but I'll manage. These sound realistic and mature. Let's talk about expressing boundaries in a kind but firm way, a very advanced communication skill. You might say, I need a little time to myself. I can't take on anything else right now. Or I want to help, but I really need to rest. These sentences protect your well-being while staying polite. If someone crosses a boundary unintentionally, you can gently respond with, I'd appreciate a bit more space. Let's slow things down a little, or I need you to understand where I'm coming from. These expressions sound respectful yet clear. Now, let's move to expressing deeper emotional reactions. When something touches you, you can say, that really means a lot to me. That honestly made me emotional, or that gave me a lot to think about. These expressions sound authentic and relatable. When something disappoints you, you can say, I was hoping for a better outcome. That's a little disheartening, or I'm trying to stay positive. These gentle sentences help you express negative feelings calmly and naturally. Let's talk about hopeful reflections, something people share at the end of the day or during meaningful conversations. You might say, I'm grateful for the little progress I made today. I'm glad things turned out the way they did, or I'm hopeful about tomorrow. These soft reflections help you end conversations with warmth and optimism. Finally, let's close with the kind of natural expressions native speakers use to wrap up a long conversation or a meaningful moment. You might say, "Thanks for spending this time with me. I appreciate you being here," or "It's been really nice sharing this with you." These kinds of closing lines sound warm, authentic, and deeply human. And now, as we come to the end of this full listening session, here's a soft, natural way to end our time together exactly like native podcast hosts do. Thanks for staying with me today. I hope these real-life expressions help you feel more confident, more natural, and more connected in English. Keep practicing a little every day, and you'll notice your fluency growing step by step. Take care, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next lesson here on English in Motion.